Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. I'm Robyn.
And I'm Gil, and you are watching Rockin the Love. And we're here
Rockin
again
the
with you
Love.
this week. Ready to have some fun? How you doing?
Yeah, let us know. Put something in the chat, say hello, ask us any questions you have, whatever comes into your head, your heart, we want to hear about it. And we're ready to have some real discussion, right?
Oh, yeah.
Our show
We are
today is,
today, aren't we?
yeah,
We've
our
got
show today is It's All BS. What does that mean? Are we allowed to even say that?
oh, I think we can.
We did.
Um, yeah, doesn't it sometimes feel like that? It's just all BS.
It sort of felt like that right then. It felt like we were on the ocean with you adjusting your camera.
Sorry, I was moving. Yeah, but it's all about our belief systems. That's
Oh,
what it's
that's
all
what
about.
BS means. All about our belief
Yep.
systems. Okay, well, I'm looking forward to diving into that. And just let me say for the record, that was a topic inspired by one of our listeners and friends, John, who was moved. And we'll tell you more about that later. But first, how was your week? Oh, loaded question. Go ahead.
It's all BS. That's pretty much where my week has been.
Mm.
Working through all of that.
Well, here's the good news. It's all an illusion,
Yes.
right? So good, bad, indifferent, right? It's all an illusion. And we get to
Ooh.
make it whatever we want. So I think my week uh for for the most part it was fine. It was good. It's about to get real here at my house with the 14-year-old who is not supposed to be in his mother's room. It's locked. And
Uh-huh.
I know he
But
was
he
in there.
is.
Yeah, but he doesn't
Uh,
know I know. He thinks
oh.
he's slick. Shh, don't tell. Don't tell, not even you, John. Don't tell. Anyway, yeah. So it's been an interesting week because I've been alone with our godson Robert, and yeah, it's just been interesting. He's been with me everywhere, and you know, it's great to be able to practice what we talk about and really just breathe into each moment and begin again. Because believe me, I've had some beginnings agains over and over and over this week, and just really trying not to get caught up in it. Just trying to let a thing be a thing and let it pass by and not be emotional about it. Like some of the things we're going to talk about today, at least in my mind, um, are, not taking things personally, or not thinking that anybody should know anything that I know. I'm just,
Well, I'm good at that. I know most people don't know what I know. Uh,
thank God for that.
I'm clear. They don't know. They don't know much.
It's true. Gil has a tendency, I'm going to tell on him, think like, but well, I got to give you credit though, because you think people do know what you know. And I
That's
think
true.
glad to hear you say that because I have spent this whole marriage trying to tell him, for example, when people are driving, he'll be like, why did they slow down and then speed up? As if it's a personal thing. Like he thinks they're trying to bother him and get in his way. I'm like, they're just not paying attention. They're just not, they're driving the way they drive. But he's convinced that it's personal and they did it because the minute he accelerated, they accelerated. Well, perhaps they're just in the flow. Perhaps it's the one mind. Perhaps everybody accelerated at the same time. But he's constantly thinking, well, like, so what came into my mind right then was the whole reversible lane thing or whatever. One day, or no, how street signals change. I one day I was said something about, I don't know how they change. He's like, what do you mean you don't know? Of course you know that when you pass this and you do this and the meter goes off here and the sensor and the blah blah, and he explains the whole thing. He's like, everybody knows that. I was like, hmm. So then when we were with his kids who were teenagers, our kids, I said, hey guys, how's the street light change? I don't know. And this is like his son who's an engineer now. So, everybody doesn't know what everybody thinks they know,
It's
right?
true. It's true.
Oh, it's a
It's
long, hard
true.
lesson.
It is a long, hard lesson.
They should
This is
know,
true.
though. Everybody should know what he knows. Nah, just kidding.
Well, I think it would be helpful to most people, but
Well, and since there's only one of us here, it would just be nice if everyone could remember at the same time.
oh, maybe that's it. Okay.
Anyway, so that's
Okay.
our week. That's our week. It's a little rough around the edges in case you can't tell, but we're hanging in there, aren't we?
Hanging
I'm
in.
hanging in Oakland.
Yeah, I'm still here at the office in Albuquerque.
Okay, then
It's just
I'm
been a
gonna
lot of emotional things up from
right.
home, from work, from everywhere. So
But I'm
there you
gonna
go.
count it as a win. We're still in. We're
We're
in
still
it.
in.
All right.
Yep.
Moving on then let's talk about some good news, because there is good news out there besides the fact that we're hanging in.
Okay.
All right. What do you got?
Okay. Hey, we got Myrna. Hi, Myrna.
Oh, hola.
Hola. Well, I just saw where the giant shipper Merck, I believe is how they say it, has come out with the first green methane powered ship. I believe it's methane, methanol, one of those things. Let's see if I have the right thing. Green methanol. There we go. There we go. I thought when I said methane, I thought that isn't right. Green methanol. And because apparently the shipping industry puts out about the same amount of stuff into the atmosphere as the airline industry does. And so it's actually quite significant.
Wow.
And what they discovered was that they could cut that down to virtually nothing using this particular setup. They did find that it costs them, at least at the moment, around twice as much for the shipping. I mean, not for the shipping itself, but for the cost of running the ship.
Uh-huh.
And then they said, but you put that in perspective and you have a ship like this, you're shipping a pair of shoes, that's about 5 cents difference in price. So, it's not huge. It's not really huge at all. And I'm sure price will come down. But the point is, it's a huge environmental step forward to at least created this possibility and to be launching this ship and to see how it works and to look at the possibility of adding that kind of thing into more ships moving forward. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That is cool. It's amazing to me. I assume maybe that it's because we do this good news segment, but it feels like more and more people more and more ecological things are happening. Like it feels like there's a greater awareness among the powers that be, and I don't know if that's because people are saying, do this or we're not buying your product, or, we know people that aren't going to get on an airplane again because of the carbon and the emissions and all of those things. But it feels like things are coming more into alignment.
Mm-hmm. Well, and frankly, businesses are understanding that because there's more of a public awareness and desire, that they can create so much goodwill by moving in a direction that it far outweighs the costs. And so it's a simple cost benefit analysis. So the more we say this is important to us and we support you in doing this, the more businesses go, oh, that we can do that. not that long ago, we saw, the movie came out, Who Killed the Electric Car?
Right.
And apparently they didn't do a very good job killing it. They just put it down for a while.
Yeah. But that's like a lot of things, right? I mean, I think that's right.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
What about you? Good
Okay.
news?
Yes, my good news is about an 11-year-old boy in Texas, which is where Myrna's looking in from. So
Okay.
this is this 11-year-old boy who has a few challenges, but he went door to door to his neighbors asking if they knew any kids in his area because he really needed some new friends. And there's a little video of it. It's very sweet, and I mean, it's both heartbreaking and heartwarming because he had an interaction with his neighbor that got caught on his Ring doorbell thing that went viral. But the boy basically asked, do you know any kids? Do you know any kids in the neighborhood? And the guy said, well, how about the kids down the street? And he said, oh no, they're not my friends anymore. They bully me. And his mother said that he'd had a problem keeping friends based on his challenges. And the neighbor said, well, I have a 2-year-old daughter. And he said, oh, I love 2-year-olds. I just think they're the cutest thing. And so he played with the 2-year-old. And then because this thing went viral, he now has friends all over the world. From people wrote him letters, and his mother was afraid that they'd find out about his challenges or whatever, and
bully him, basically.
bully him or be mean. But he he's just gotten all of these friends, and the guy also started him a GoFundMe and raised a bunch of money for him, and it was just a heartwarming story that that all this came from just knocking on doors and a neighbor saying, okay, he said it said that it actually, because the kid said, I knocked on his door because one day his dog ran in our yard and they seemed like very nice people when he came to get them. So I wanted to be friends. So, I mean, it's just super sweet, and just like that kind of connection and reaching out and supporting each other.
Well, I think the cool part is that this kid set an intention for himself, whether consciously or not, but he set this intention, and it's not shown up the way I'm sure he thought, but it's showing up. And secondly, it restores your faith, or at least mine, in people, that they don't necessarily have to do what we often see on media, on the apps and stuff, that people just show up and basically spew out their venom on other people. So instead of doing that, people really showed up to be supportive and helpful and offer true friendship, and that's cool. Yeah.
And Myrna says good things happen in Texas. Good people live here in Texas, and that's the beautiful thing, is good people are everywhere. And I just love it that it wasn't just one kid or his mother's thing. And I also think what a great use. I mean, that's when social media is so amazing, right?
When it does the right thing. Yes.
When it does the right thing. So it went on TikTok, and it supported someone, and it lifted their spirits, and it gave him friends in China and the UK and Hawaii and Australia, and and so it's just I like it. I like those fuzzy warm stories. What can I say? That's me, fuzzy and warm. So if you want a little more fuzzy, come back right here on New Thought Media Network right after this break.
Thought Radio. Music from all your favorite New Thought artists. From Jamie Lula, Karen Drucker, Gary Lynn Floyd, Ricky Byers, Daniel Nahmod, Eddie Watkins Jr., and many, many more. 24/7 New Thought Radio. Positively inspiring.
Hello, hello, hello. We are back right here on Rockin the Love on New Thought Media Network. Welcome back. So
We're happy you're here.
we are so happy. Show
And
them
just so
happy.
you know, it's all BS.
That's the theme today. It's all BS. So let's talk a little bit about how we got here. It's all BS.
Well, I think the particular. Well, you say the first part. Yeah, because you said someone brought it up to you.
This was really inspired in a conversation with our friend John, who we were talking about. I don't know if all of you heard that about the 93-year-old man that climbed to Half Dome in Yosemite. And for those of you who don't live in California, Yosemite obviously is one of the national parks, and Half Dome is. You should talk about that.
Half Dome is a huge monolith, and the hiking. I've never done it, but I do know that it's not just like you walk up there, but there are sections of it where there are cables and stuff that you need to hang on to pull along and walk up. So I don't know. I think there might be some steps cut into the rock or not. But the point is you have to hang on to the cables because it's extremely steep and that kind of thing. So it's not a simple act.
No, it's not a simple act.
It's very intentional, and it's a fair amount of distance.
John has actually done it.
Really?
He actually did it.
Wow.
In his early 20s. And
nice, John.
Yeah, and it's about did you say 20 hours, John? I don't remember. I think it's let me see. I know that this 93-year-old man who hails from Oakland to decided to do this journey, and this is actually kind of funny. He said he got the idea after skydiving a few years ago.
Oh, well, yes.
So at 91, he went skydiving, and then as he walks around Lake Merritt almost every day, and he just had the idea that why not climb, to Half Dome. And so he
got to be an
actually
incredible view and vision of the whole Yosemite Valley. It's got to be fantastic from up there. John says 13 hours.
Yeah,
roughly.
13
Woo!
hours. And he trained by walking up and down the stairs at his where he lives. So,
Mhm.
which is a 16-story apartment building. So, so anyway, we were inspired by that because a lot of people say, "Oh, he's too old to do that," or "You can't do this because this," and all of the excuses and reasons that one comes up with. And that's where this topic began.
Well, let me just share that actually over the last several months, someone here at Rio Grande Center has done various installments of a workshop on aging, on uh, that topic and what it means and et cetera. And one of the great stories she shared was about how when she realized she needed to shift her thinking was, she'd been to two different doctors about some stuff that was going on with her. And they both looked at her and said, "Well, what do you expect? You're 80."
Mm.
And she realized that's just a thought. That's just a belief. And the belief is not only something that's easy for us to buy into, but we keep getting it bombarded, as we get older, that, well, that's great. I mean, somebody said to me the other day that, there should be a limit on how old you can be when you climb a ladder so you don't fall off. Um, you know, and I get it on the one hand, and on the other hand, that's just why?
Right.
Why?
Well, and let's just take it back to the Bible, right? Let's just, which I rarely do, but let's just do it
I'm a
anyway.
little shocked.
I know. I love to do that. I love to shock people. But it's done unto you as you believe, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so that's the whole basis. If we buy into that, sure, then it's true. I mean, it will be true.
Yeah.
So I looked up. So just so you know, it's all BS. That is our belief system. That is what BS stands for, and you can correlate as appropriate. So
You know what? I'm going to offer a definition of beliefs that I found because I think it's really fascinating just to start this topic off with.
good, because I
Uh,
found one too that I thought was fascinating.
Beliefs are the things we hold true, regardless of whether we have any proof of their objective truth.
Mhm.
And I was like, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that we have any kind of proof. It's just something we have adopted as we believe is true.
Is that all that you have right there?
No, that's all I had with that. I have more to talk about with things, but that basic understanding of what a belief is.
So here's what I found fascinating, because when I looked up belief system, and almost all the definitions I found said things like a set of principles or tenets which together form the basis of a religion, philosophy, or moral code. But almost all of them started with like religious beliefs.
Hmm. Mhm.
Yeah, I thought that was super interesting.
Well, at some level, that makes sense, and even with the definition I said, because religion and those things are often you're often holding to a belief based on something that you can't see or you can't prove. So therefore, whether or not you have any objective proof, you still hold that to be true.
Right. Right.
So how does this, where do these come from? These beliefs that we just hang on to?
Are you
Any
asking?
ideas?
Sure. I have a lot of ideas. I I mean, I think that I think that are handed down to us through the generations. I think that's one form. I think they come in all different forms. I definitely think they are uh, transmitted to us via our televisions, devices, and computers and things like that. I think it all comes into play, right? And
Mhm.
then I think we base our beliefs on our experiences as well.
Mhm.
So obviously, as life goes on, we form more and more opinions about what has happened to us, and it becomes a belief that that's what will always in quotes happen to us if we do things in a certain way. What do you think?
Well, I'll share this one. We also develop beliefs resulting from personal experiences and the feelings that we associate with them in those moments.
Yes.
So, the experience that we have, and is it a positive one? Is it a negative one? Is it um, do we feel safe in it? Do we feel unsafe? What's our feeling around it? And then our belief forms around whether or not this is something we believe, or we believe this to be in a certain way. Like, I believe that's not good, you know, whatever that belief is. And so, yeah, it's hugely influenced by our experience, and in particular, our feelings around those experiences. Another thing that I found here is that we develop beliefs through our repeated actions. So when we continue to repeat or do certain things, it actually reinforces whatever we think, and we sort of, it's the self-fulfilling prophecy kind of concept, because we
Mhm.
keep acting in a certain way, therefore, and that's kind of the thing the 93-year-old didn't do, and that was continue to act as if he was aging in a way that would cause him to not be able to do something.
Yes.
If he had continued to go kind of in the direction that we often see people go, which is, well, I really shouldn't do that, I'm going to just stay at home, and so then activity is staying at home, and then that reinforces that I don't feel like doing these things, and I'm really too old, and all that.
Yeah. 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 I want to talk about that a bit. Myrna says, I believe beliefs are in everyone and everywhere. I think they are part or could be part of our survival, belonging to someone, belonging to something. And some beliefs are like armpits. Everyone has them and they stink.
Oh, that's a
Very
nice cleaned up
eloquent,
version
Myrna.
of that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Very
good.
true. Yeah. I think, yeah, there's so much to the whole belief thing. It makes, I think also, mm, I think along with what you were saying before, I think that's why, we've done a little work looking at like retirement centers and things like that. And there are those tests, not tests, what do you call it? Uh,
Experiments.
Experiments or whatever. Like in certain retirement centers, they put in like a 50s diner and they played 50s music and they're in the diner. So, the people could go in there, and they found that people had more energy and more lively, and it brought them back to that experience. And so they started living from that place essentially. Right. And,
Yeah, yeah.
and so,
They were reliving those beliefs of the time, in a sense, that they were young and blah 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 blah.
yeah.
I'm trying to bring our friend with us, who doesn't come too often these days, Patty. Blah 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 blah. Yada yada yada.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay, so here's my question. So beliefs versus values.
Mm,
What is a value? Because I think,
good question.
yeah, I think beliefs and values get confusing. Not confusing,
Mm,
but you know what I mean. Sometimes I think we think our beliefs are our values, and What are values?
I don't really know. I mean, offhand.
Okay, well, pretend you're the minister and a congregant asks you, and you
What
need to
are
know. Don't tell me that
values?
you'd be.
Something that you hold to, that you would, that would cause you to make specific choices and changes around things that you might think you believe or do, because you hold this value to be higher than, this is the value. So even if in the moment I think this is what should happen, I realize that I shouldn't do that. Or something like that. I don't know.
So, okay.
What about you? Did you find something on that?
Well, yeah, I did, but of course I don't have it right here. But I would say that so beliefs are things that we believe to be true regardless of evidence, right?
Right.
We're making our own assumptions about the world.
Uh-huh. And values sometimes come from sometimes they're shared values. So we all say that this is important to us over here.
Well,
values,
I think values are what dictate how we judge or look at other situations, right? So what's considered good or bad, or it's like unwritten rules of standards of behavior in our daily life, right? I mean, everyone has their own core values, but they might not be, we might not all believe in the same thing.
So our producer says, and the values come from growing up, environment, and life experience. And that's where we said our beliefs come from. So that's an interesting thing. Okay, Myrna's trying to help us out now. Values, a person's principles or standards of behavior, one's judgment of what is important in life. So those are principles and standards that we hold to. We say this is important. Supporting life is important.
Right.
We don't.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
So what we believe guides our values. Right?
Right. I mean, in theory, yes. Yeah, in theory, our beliefs about the world and how it works would guide what we believe is important, what we hold to as a value. Is it a value to be patriotic? Is it a value to be involved in your community? Is that a value? If it's a value, it's influenced by the fact that I believe that we should be helping people. I believe we should be aware of what's going on around us. I believe blah, 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 which leads to my value that it's important to be involved in my community. I'm making it up, clearly.
I know. So here's the deal. Strong beliefs can turn into values. Okay. But not all values can translate into beliefs. So things like honesty or integrity, they're values that guide our decision making, right?
Right.
And honesty isn't a belief system, right? So I mean,
my belief system would be, I don't believe it's safe to be honest in this situation. Right. I believe you should always be honest, regardless. Whatever. Those are my beliefs. But the value is that honesty is important. because honesty creates a playing field that has some kind of rules we can know about what's going on.
Okay. Myrna has been talking to Google while she's watching us. She's moving.
I know, she's Googling.
She's Googling away. She's vying for that position for our research coordinator. You've got
did we
it.
put that?
You're hired.
Did we put that out already? I didn't know that.
Beliefs.
Okay,
An
so
acceptance
beliefs,
that a statement is true or something exists. Right.
yeah. Values are stable, long-lasting beliefs, so that's tied to beliefs, the way that's set up, about what is important to a person. A belief will develop into a value.
Oh, New Thought Media is asking, what would happen if you examined your values and switch them around to support your life? Yes, and that is the point of our show today. Thank you, producer Michael Mangus, for recentering us. So what would happen? I mean, how does that work, and how do we switch, how do we center and focus ourselves on that?
Myrna wants to clarify that that's not Google talking, it's her. I'm pondering about what values and beliefs are. Yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly what we're doing here. But how do those, I mean...
Well, and wait, I just want to say, and that isn't that what we do in life when we're looking for, let's just say, a political candidate, right? So we're looking to see how it aligns with our values.
Right.
Right.
And that person doesn't necessarily believe all the same things we believe. They don't necessarily believe that in order to do X or Y, you must do A or B, but they hold a value that it's important for us to protect the environment. But how they get there and all that stuff and what they believe about what'll make that happen and all that can be totally different than what you and I believe.
Right. Okay. So how does this affect our life? Because here's the deal. If I want to be more abundant, if I want to have more love in my life, if I want to, do anything, how do my beliefs affect the outcome?
So what do we believe about ourselves? What do we believe we're entitled to, if you will? What do we believe we deserve? What do we believe? So those are all beliefs around the idea of having, of accessing more abundance, of accessing more love in our life. If I don't believe that it's possible, if I don't believe that I'm worthy of it, if I don't believe those things, then it's highly likely that I won't see the result, quote, that I'm saying I want.
Right. So, and those, I mean, I think this is where we really have to be like the, what do you call it? Like the excursionists. What is it? Of our life.
Explorers.
Explorers, thanks. Of our life. Because it's like sometimes we stop ourselves without even knowing, right? Mm-hmm. And we take on a limiting belief that we didn't even know we had, or, and it could have come from a teacher, from somebody on the playground yelling at you, from, I mean, we don't know when it's from. We just know what it does at some point. Mm-hmm. So how, at this stage of our lives and the game, do we move forward? Oh, John says, it's Dorothy and her red pumps. She had to believe in herself. Absolutely. Gil, you're looking at it like you're miffed. He's not talking about a drag show. He's talking about the Wizard of Oz. So it's Dorothy and her red pumps. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it's not only Dorothy, right? It's almost every movie we watch. I mean, it's the hero's journey, because they overcome whatever has stopped them.
Right. And whatever has stopped them, and those were cute. Whatever has stopped us, whatever has stopped them in the movie, in the stories, is always something that we've put there ourselves by believing something.
Yeah. And so,
Right.
right. Myrna says, I believe not all beliefs are truth to everyone. So how do we live in a world that not all beliefs will be truthful to everyone? Our movement shares, we believe in a world that works for everyone. Does this mean regardless of multiple beliefs? Yes.
It would have to.
It would have to. In theory, the only belief I think that this is just me, that I think that we share is that there's only one thing happening. And that's God. And that's love. And that's spirit. And that's Buddha. And that's Allah. And it's whatever name that is, that's the only belief we have to share. Or we don't, I mean, yeah, I think we have to. And then the journey is to be able to see that and honor that in everyone's beliefs and ideas. You know, and to know that if you cut me off on the freeway, or if you're a Republican and I'm independent, or if you eat red meat and I only eat plants, then it's honoring that we are all making the appropriate decision and that it's okay, right?
We don't talk to those people, Myrna. No, but what happens to those who believe there is no God? And I think the issue there is, do we share the idea that we are all human and therefore all share this common experience, this common life? We don't have to know, we don't have to believe in how it exists or what's in charge of it, or is there something in charge of it? Then your theme totally makes sense.
Yeah, it is all, yes.
Yeah.
And but I want to get to so what do we do? How do we stop ourselves from holding ourselves back? Can we change a belief system?
I think you said something really interesting there. You said, how do we stop ourselves from holding ourselves back? And I think we don't know how to stop something. And the reality is we are absolute masters at stopping ourselves. We can stop ourselves from doing anything based on a belief. So what would be so hard about creating a belief that stopped that belief? We can do that. And
John says, God is bigger than that. God is knowing. God goes on, even if we little people hold various beliefs. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yes. And does God think they're little beliefs? Or is it part of the journey for each and every person to learn what they need to learn? I don't know that for me, I don't know that there are any little beliefs. Well, there are. John says most atheists I know believe strongly in love and kindness. Go ahead.
So is that a belief or is that a value? I mean, we hold to the value that love is important, kindness is important. Those are values. But my belief in why those are important or how they're important, I mean, I believe that Spirit tells me to. Someone else believes that Jesus died, so it's true. Someone else believes you guys are all nuts. just is.
Okay, but
Those are beliefs, but they all hold the same, they all will tell you that they value love and kindness.
well, and love is a spiritual principle, right?
For you and me, because that's what we
Aw.
believe.
Oh, God, I thought you were being romantic. Okay. Um, sorry, I had a moment. Okay. Yeah, and so yeah, I think that, I mean, I think it's all really interesting, but I go back to my question, and Myrna had wisdom on John's or somebody's question, that Bob the Builder says, yes, we can. It's a matter of believing.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. And yes, we have. And, yes, we will. All of those things can be true.
President Obama said, yes, we can.
He did. But again, I'm going back to the question. So how do we do that though, for real, in just normal life? So here I am, and I really need to bring in income. I really need to expand and trust, not only trust that the universe has me, but I don't know what's blocking me, and I really need to bring in income and abundance in my life. What do I do? Where do I move from? Do I have to know my limiting belief? Do I have to know, oh God, my grandfather said work is hard and it's the only way you'll ever get anything, and blah, blah. Do I have to search back to that, or how do I begin to open up and really be able to expand and explore what's possible? Oh, Dr. Cynthia Chang is here.
Yay.
She's affirmed that we can move beyond our BS. All right, ladies and gentlemen, then we are complete, because we just can. We just can. No, but how? How? Because that's, I know we can. And I know we teach several classes on it, and you people speak on it every Sunday. But how? Or where do I start?
First of all, it is acknowledging that we have decided certain things. Beliefs are things we have decided somehow. So, for instance, as far as our beliefs are concerned, emotional memories provide an unconscious lens through which we view our world, an unconscious lens. So, I mean, so many of our quote beliefs are based on feelings and things that have come up in our life that we don't even notice or know. And so knowing that when something comes up, we can question it and go, well, is that really true? Is that belief really true? Why am I holding on to that? Is it really true that I can't do this? Is it really true that the only way to get money is to work really hard? Why do I think that? Where did that come from? To me, I think there's a certain level at which we can then ask the question. Then we can go, well, that's not the belief that I'm going to continue to hold. So I'm going to change that belief. I'm going to say, I know that abundance is right here, everywhere present, and I'm accepting it and loving it and enjoying it right now. That's my new belief.
Right. And I think what you're saying and what people are saying in the chat, and I think there are some beliefs that make life and success easier, right? So I think just starting with the belief that there is a way, because sometimes we get stuck in that place of, I can't do it. I don't know how I'm going to find my way out of it. And before we know it, we're buried in it. John has an excellent point: to see a good practitioner. And that means any kind of practitioner, spiritual coach, anybody that resonates with you. Cynthia says, slow down and notice the thought and feeling in our bodies. Yes, very true. And I'm going to share with you, Michael Beckwith says, he says, slow down and take a moment and think of a time when you felt totally loved and totally taken care of and totally successful, or whatever the thing is that you're trying to get to. And just be with that feeling and that thought, know that thought, and then take that forward into your next action. Look at the challenge from that place. And then continue to go back to that moment when you're having the thoughts, and then as you go back to that moment and that feeling, if you can connect with that feeling in your body, then your body doesn't know the difference. It doesn't know if you're experiencing it for real or for fake. If you're feeling that emotion, it starts to recalibrate and to get you to that place. So when you start to create from that place, then you can go to having an affirmation and being able to say, I am worthy of all of the good of the universe, or I am prosperous and jobs come to me from all four corners of the earth, or whatever it is you want to affirm. So that would be what I would add to all the wonderful suggestions in our chat. And John says, a few weeks ago, I saw a one-legged skier interviewed who said when he lost his leg, people said he couldn't ski again, and he never accepted it as true for him. Right? And how many of those stories are there out there? There are so many great stories and inspirational things.
And why do they amaze us? Because many of those are things where our initial thought when seeing that is, I don't believe that's possible. I don't know how I don't know how you do that. How would I get around with only one leg? All those kinds of things. Instead of saying, oh, well, that's different, we got to find a different way to do this. But I think you said something when you talk about what Reverend Michael said, you hit on exactly the quote I said before, and that our beliefs are concerned, as far as our beliefs are concerned, emotional memories provide an unconscious lens. So in some level, what he's saying is create a new emotional memory.
Yeah, absolutely.
And attach it to what you're doing. So we're really doing exactly the process of how beliefs are often formed, but we're intentionally doing it instead of just allowing it to happen.
Right.
And in some ways, that's the skier. He said, no, my belief is I'm attaching it to the idea of being successful and having fun and being able to ski. That's what I'm attaching my belief is for what my life is moving forward.
Well, and he said that's not my truth. I'm not accepting that.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that, the other thing I would say to that is that it also resonates for us because it's in us. So when we feel that emotion and that connection to a story, it's because that is the reflection of us. We have that power inside of us. That is our superpower, that feeling you feel when you get, tingly and teary and admire the people and all of that. It's because that's us and that's what's possible. That's the feeling in our body and in our genes and in our vibration, because we are vibrational beings, that is what's asking to be nurtured and manifested. So that is our challenge to you for the week, right? Go out and be inspired, be inspiring, know that no matter what the challenge is, you are more than that. And apparently I am more than that, because I don't know where he went, but he's gone. And so it's time for us to go. But I'm so glad you all joined us. Thank you so much, everybody. John and Myrna and Dr. Chang and anyone who's listening later, Rev Kev and everybody. And we're just loving you and just reminding you to keep on rocking the love, everybody. See you next week.